Would you like to know the dirty laundry of a city before you move there? Or maybe just an honest opinion. So, I am about 5 years in here in Vancouver, Washington, and there are still plenty of gripes I have about living here. But are they the same as they were 18 months ago when I first visited this topic? Keep in mind, no city is perfect. And I'm not going to tell you that Vancouver is, but I believe in honesty and keeping the fluff down. If you don't know me yet, my name is Cassandra Marks. I am your absolute favorite local farmer with a real estate problem. And about 18 months ago, I talked about these 8 things that I didn't like about Vancouver. So, how has that list aged? I will give you a hint. It has. Some things have changed, some things have not. So let's go over the 8 topics that we went over before and see if there's new ones. So the first and foremost is the Fast and the Furious is still real. That's still an honest opinion. So there's this BMW, it's black, it backfires, and it drives by my house at 5:30 in the morning and 10:30 at night, every single day. And it's like, I'm just like, I don't understand. Can someone please tell me why that's cool? Because I have no idea. The other thing they do out here is that, yeah, they do still race a ton. And what people don't really think about when they're racing is some of these streets aren't super straight out here in the countryside, and the ditches absolutely devour cars. So the ditch out front of my house is so deep that if you go in, pickup truck, car, whatever, you will be completely on your side and you can walk from the street across the top of the car and onto the farm field on the other side. That is how deep. Like literally you will have to crawl out of the car from the other door. It is nuts. And so many people go in the ditch and they just keep racing and keep doing it. And it's like, okay guys, great work. Next, paid parking. It's still around. I would say overall, not a huge thing anymore. I really don't care. I'm just like, whatever, get out my parking kitty, pay for it, go about my business. Number 3, gray skies. Yeah, they're here. It's that time of year. It is the unicloud. It has returned along with the big dark. So it's usually dark about, I don't know, I think last night I was showing houses and by like 6:15, I couldn't really use the video on my phone to show my clients around anymore. So yeah, gray skies. There's nothing you can really do about it. We're here. They're here. Number 4 on that list from 18 months ago was the waterfront is beautiful until you look over to Oregon. Well, you know what? They keep working on the waterfront even more. And so I've just pretty much stopped looking across the river and I just look down the river instead and like look at how beautiful the waterfront is in downtown Vancouver. And they're adding so much more stuff. So they're going to do like an open air market, like Pikes Peak market up in Seattle. It's going to be awesome. So I'm super stoked. You just kind of just don't notice the other side of the river anymore because just Vancouver's so beautiful. Number 5, people cannot drive. That has not changed. 1 iota, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. The more road construction, because they're talking about fixing the I-5 bridge and widening it on both sides, on the Portland side and on the Vancouver side, and changing some of the interchanges, and that's just going to be a nightmare. So people can't drive. I don't know anywhere in this country anyone can drive. Although I was pretty impressed one time when I drove into downtown Chicago going like 75 miles an hour, like bumper to bumper with people. That was pretty awesome. Number 6 on this list, trash on the sides of the roads. Well, it is fall, and so they have done their annual pickup. So the little white bags of trash are piled up all over on the sides of the roads. But it'll be back soon. I don't understand how much trash gets on the sides of the roads here because like growing up in Minnesota, I felt like there really never was trash on the sides of the roads. And if there was, they picked them up like, I want to say twice, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So it just really wasn't ever a thing, even on the interstates. But here, like people don't secure their loads before they go to the dump, or they just like haul stuff around and don't secure it and just falls out and they don't go back and get it. They just leave it. They're like, whatever, it's someone else's problem. Gripe number 7, which really isn't a gripe anymore, is 20 minutes to get everywhere. I actually kind of like it. It doesn't matter if it's like 20 minutes on the interstate to get from like Camas to Salmon Creek, or if it's like 20 minutes to get from like my house on the east side down to downtown Vancouver. Literally, I've talked to so many people, it's 20 minutes to get anywhere. And number 8, well, happens to be the homelessness. Well, it's going in the right direction. In November, they issued a public emergency and they have been giving updates and getting people into safe rest villages. And Vancouver has really been focusing on helping transition people off the streets. I know a lot of people have been saying they've noticed a lot more homelessness in Vancouver. And I think a lot of that is because so many people from Portland who want help are coming over to Vancouver to get help, to get off the street, because Portland has just been lacking so hard in the last few years to help anyone. They have a lot of competing organizations that aren't talking to each other, and so they just haven't been able to. So they come over here, they get into a safe rest village or a safe stay village, and like get help transitioning out into permanent housing. All right, so let's talk about what's new to this list. So in the last 18 months, I would like to add roads to that, potholes that need fixing. The city of Vancouver fills these potholes on my drive home like 2 times a year, but they prefer to spend their time like removing lights, adding roundabouts versus actually fixing the roads. So be extremely vigilant, or you're gonna be spending a lot on tires, alignments, and even axles. I've talked to plenty of people. I've hit a couple myself and I'm just like, oh, and you just kind of shake. There's one section of road not too far from my house, and even people on the local Facebook group are like, someone put it up like about a week ago. They're like, when are they gonna fix the road between here and here? Because they've done the road on both sides, like up to the light and then to this other light. And there's just this one section that's probably like 3 blocks long, maybe 4 blocks long. And all they do is fill the potholes like twice a year. And I'm like, and the potholes are like the size of a tire. Actually, I think what they're doing is they're waiting because I have a feeling that when they change the urban growth boundary here in 2025, they're probably going to widen that road, because it's 2 lanes and then it goes in, or it's 2 lanes on both sides and then it goes down to 1 lane on both sides. I think they're going to widen it through there and widen it all the way down to the light. And if not past that, because someone's petitioning to put like 600 homes down the street. That's a completely another video. All right, so my next gripe happens to be the political and the new construction directional signs that are everywhere. Yeah, I know it's kind of that time of year, but I feel like a lot of them have become trash on the sides of the road, and I want to know who picks that up. Some signs have been up for years and the reps haven't even taken them down yet. And I find a lot of the like new construction ones in my ditch after the stakes break. So since I drive like 2,000 to 3,000 miles a month, I see many, many, many broken signs on the side of the road. And some people have been pretty funny also with trolling and the political signs. So you got to check out this one in Camas. I laughed pretty hard when this popped up in a Realtor Facebook group recently. We were laughing because we do drive and notice a lot of those types of things. But this one, it's like, you'll see. Just wait, you'll see. And then my last gripe right now is keeping money in the local economy versus corporate greed. I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but and I am going to make a whole video on it because it needs more than I can give it right here. But the long and the short of it is there are some home developers that have purchased some farmland around the area outside of the urban growth boundary about 20 years ago and have not cared for that land. And now that it has finished the 20-year farmland deferral, they are claiming that the reason they should be able to move it into the urban growth boundary is because per USDA standards, it is not suitable to grow food for human consumption. Well, there's hay on it and they till it once a year, which kills the nutrients. And then of course you can't grow food there. But many of the fields in the area around here on the exterior of Vancouver feed livestock. And some of that livestock is sold locally. I saw a stat that said for every 1% of food sold locally at farmers markets, that means another 5 million into our local economy. So I'm all for new housing, don't get me wrong, but not at the cost of corporate greed and taking away from the farmers. There is so much more to this topic and it really fires me up. So stay tuned for more on the urban growth boundary. I'm going to do an entire another video on that, about that and land development. But anyways, the last thing is the bridge construction on I-5. I also talked about that a little earlier. There are 2 bridges that cross the Columbia River between Vancouver and Portland. And for 10 plus years, Oregon and Washington has literally been arguing and trying to come to an agreement about replacing the I-5 bridge. When that starts, that means it's going to be much harder to commute between Portland and Vancouver. And it's already difficult on I-5. And so a lot of that traffic is going to switch to 205 to avoid the mess. And I've seen recent reports that it will take 9 years to complete this project. And in those 9 years, the population will have grown so much in Vancouver that it will outgrow what we're trying to do. So are we really going to be better off? So some people are calling for a third bridge to be added. And for those who are not local, the nearest bridges to cross the Columbia outside of the Portland, Vancouver area is to the east in the gorge, out in Cascade Locks. It's called the Bridge of the Gods. And that will take you at least an hour out and back. It is tolled, and the drive can be kind of icy in the winter. The other option is 45 minutes northwest to Rainier and Longview. So if you commute, I'm sorry. So what do you think? Is any of this list or any of these things really kind of pushing your buttons here? So please drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know, because I just want to make sure we're covering everything. These are just some of the gripes I've had, but I like to mention earlier, no city is perfect, and this list is not enough to make me want to leave. So you can try to say whatever you want in the comments, but I ain't leaving. If you thought this information was good and want some more things to consider when moving to Vancouver, you need to check out this video, the 5 things I wish I would have considered before moving to Vancouver. As a little spoiler, one was the cost of living versus where I came from in the Midwest. I didn't really think too hard about where I was moving to when I moved here. So again, my name is Cassandra Marks, also known as Realtor Cass. I'm a farmer with a wee little real estate problem, and your guide to all things Southwest Washington, Clark County, Vancouver, and even Portland. So please reach out to me via text, email, or DM on the socials at Realtor Cass, and I'd love to chat about your move to the area, especially because I love it so dearly here. So thank you so much for spending time with me today, and until I see you again, bye.